Greetings, true believers, and welcome to Marvel May 2025. This month, we're only going to be looking at two movies. So, yeah, and those movies are going to be Deadpool and Wolverine and Captain America Brave New World. So, there you go. Which unfortunately means that, yeah, next year, we're only going to be looking at Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four first steps. So, there you go. But, yeah, anyway. So, let's kick things off with our look at Deadpool and Wolverine. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay. In 2018, Wade Wilson uses Cable's time travel device to prevent the death of his girlfriend, Vanessa Carlyle. He then travels from his universe, Earth 10005, to Earth 616, also called the Sacred Timeline, hoping to join that reality's Avengers. He's rejected by Happy Hogan and returns to his own universe. 6 years later, Wade is broken up with Vanessa, retired from being the masked mercenary Deadpool, and works as a used car salesman with his friend and former X-Force member Peter Wisdom. During Wade's birthday party, he is detained by the Time Variance Authority, or known as the TVA, and brought to Mr. Paradox, who explains that they are an organization outside of time that monitors the sacred timeline and the wider multiverse. He offers Wade a future on the sacred timeline, which Wade accepts. But Paradox reveals that Wade's universe is deteriorating as a result of the death of its stabilizing anchor being Logan. Paradox plans to use a Time Ripper device to accelerate this process. Wade steals Paradox's Tempad device and uses it to travel to Logan's grave, hoping to resurrect him and save their timeline. When this fails, Wade travels the multiverse searching for a replacement variant of Logan. Wade returns to the TVA with a variant of Logan. Paradox as an anchor being cannot be replaced, especially by this variant who is considered to be the worst Wolverine in the multiverse. When Wade introduces the Paradox as acting without the knowledge of his superiors, Paradox sends Wade and Logan to the Void, a wasteland at the end of time. Wade claims the TVA can change events in Logan's past, convincing him to work together to escape the Void. The pair are captured alongside Johnny Storm and taken to Cassandra Nova, the powerful and sadistic twin sister of X-Men leader Charles Xavier. Cassandra, who made a deal with the TVA to oversee the Void, kills Johnny and leaves Wade and Logan to be consumed by the creature Alioth, but the pair escape. Logan and Wade meet a Deadpool variant called Nicepool, who directs them toward a resistance group that's been fighting Cassandra. Wade accidentally admits that he's not certain whether the TVA can change Logan's timeline, and the pair fight until they are both unconscious. They are found in a resistance group consisting of Laura, Elektra, Blade, and Gambit. Wade proposes an alliance, and Laura convinces Logan, regretful of his past actions, which led to the deaths of his fellow X-Men, to join. The Resistance members distract Cassandra's henchmen while Wade and Logan block her powers using Juggernaut's helmet. Cassandra is betrayed by her follower Pyro on behalf of Paradox and almost dies, until Logan convinces Wade to remove the helmet. Cassandra heals herself and uses a sling ring to open a portal to Earth 10005 for Logan and Wade. Cassandra learns about the Time Ripper from Pyro, kills him, and follows Logan and Wade to Earth 1005, where she plans to use the Time Ripper to destroy all timelines, leaving only the Void. Cassandra summons an army of Deadpool variants who kill Nicepool and battle Wade and Logan until Peter arrives to distract them. Paradox tells Wade and Logan that one of them could destroy the Time Ripper by disrupting his power flow, but this would kill them. Wade and Logan destroy the Time Ripper together, killing Cassandra in the process, and survive by sharing the burden. Paradox is arrested by the TVA's Hunter B-15, who congratulates Wade and Logan and say their actions have stopped Earth 1005 from deteriorating. Wade asks Hunter B-15 to save the resistance group from the Void and change the history of Logan's world. She explains that the latter is not possible because Logan's history is what led to him being a hero now, but allows Logan to stay in Wade's universe. During a gathering with Wade's friends that includes a rescued Laura, Logan encourages Wade to reconcile with Vanessa. Aww. So let's take a look at the production of this movie, beginning with the background. After the success of Deadpool, 20th Century Fox began developing two sequels. The third film was said to include the superhero team X-Force. Deadpool director Tim Miller chose not to return for the sequels due to creative differences with star Ryan Reynolds, and David Leitch was hired to direct Deadpool 2 in November 2016. Fox was looking for another filmmaker to develop the third film. In March 2017, Deadpool and Deadpool 2 co-writer Rhett Reese said X-Force would be introduced in Deadpool 2, but were starting to plan a spin-off film that would launch something bigger, separate from the third Deadpool film, which would be more personal. When the acquisition of 21st Century Fox by Disney was announced in December 2017, the Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Iger said Reynolds' Wade Wilson slash Deadpool would be integrated with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This was despite those films being rated PG-13 and the Deadpool films being R-rated. Iger was willing to make R-rated Deadpool films as long as we let the audiences know what's coming, and said a Marvel art brand would be created for characters like Deadpool. In May 2018, Reynolds said a third Deadpool film may not be made due to the shift of focus to X-Force. Reese and his writing partner Paul Wernick said a third film would happen after Reynolds took a break from the character and the X-Force film was released, similar to the MCU crossover film The Avengers, being released between Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3. At the end of May 2018, Leach expressed interest in returning for another Deadpool film, depending on the schedule. A third Deadpool film was believed to be in active development by that August, but production planned to take place in Atlanta, Georgia, rather than in Vancouver, Canada, where the previous films were made. Once Upon a Deadpool, a PG-13 version of Deadpool 2, was released at the end of the year. It was watched carefully by Disney and Marvel Studios to see how it might inform their approach to the character in the MCU. While promoting Once Upon a Deadpool, Reynolds confirmed that a third Deadpool film was in development and that instead it would go in a completely different direction. Reynolds later revealed that they were considering a road trip film styled after Rashomon, featuring Hugh Jackman's X-Men film series character Logan / Wolverine. Karan Soni, who played Dopinder in the first two Deadpool films, reiterated these plans and explained that the film would have focused on Deadpool trying to save Christmas by going on a road trip to the North Pole. Jackman had himself envisioned a team-up film with Reynolds inspired by 48 Hours while attending a screening of Deadpool in 2016, which was to retire from the role of Wolverine after Logan. In March 2019, Disney officially acquired Fox and gained the film rights to several Marvel Comics characters from Marvel Studios, including Deadpool and the X-Men. The Marvel-based films that Fox had been developing were placed on hold. Josh Brolin, who portrayed Cable in Deadpool 2 and Thanos in the MCU, said in June 2019 they discussed his future as Cable Marvel Studios. In October, Zazie Beetz said she would be surprised if she did not reprise her Deadpool 2 role of Domino in a future film. That month, Risa Wernick said that they and Reynolds were taking a much-needed rest from Deadpool while they wait to hear from Marvel Studios about the franchise's future. They confirmed that another Deadpool film would be made that would be R-rated like the previous films, and that would integrate the character with the MCU. Wernick said that there was never a set pitch for their Deadpool film between their exhaustion following Deadpool 2 and the announcement of Fox's acquisition by Disney. Reese said they had to land on the right idea, and once we do, I think we'll be off to the races. And now on to the development. Reynolds announced that he was meeting with Marvel Studios in October 2019. At that time, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige wasn't sure how to integrate Deadpool, the X-Men, and mutants in general into the MCU. He described Reynolds as an idea machine who pitched many different approaches for the film, including a low-budget road trip film, Deadpool and Dopinder, that was compared to independent films, and one that included Dance Number with Wolverine said to Elton John's I Guess That's Why They Call the Blues. Reynolds also pitched his previous idea for a Rashomon-style team-up with Wolverine that would tell one story from 3 different perspectives, but it would be possible to include Wolverine. In December, Reynolds said the whole team was actively developing a Deadpool film at Marvel Studios. Reynolds and Marvel Studios met with potential writers throughout October 2020, including Wendy Molyneux and Lizzie Molyneux-Logelin. Their pitch aligned with Reynolds and Marvel's intentions for the film, and the pair were hired the next month. Reynolds and the studio were open to Leach returning as director, and he met with them about it, but scheduling prevented him from returning. While filming The Atom Project with director Sean Levy, Reynolds asked Levy about working together on the next Deadpool film, and Levy was enthusiastic about the idea. In January 2021, Feige said Reynolds was supervising the writing process, and his basic schedule meant filming would not begin until after 2021. An idea Reynolds had in 2020 or 2021 was for an action sequence set to the song Like a Prayer by Madonna. It was intended to follow the death of Puerto Rasputin / Colossus, which would motivate Deadpool after being at a low point. In July, Reynolds and Taika Waititi promoted their film Free Guy, also directed by Levy, as their respective Marvel characters Deadpool and Cork in a commercial titled Deadpool and Cork React. Deadpool, Love Breaks the Fourth Wall, discusses joining the MCU with Cork in the commercial. The next month, Feige said filming will begin in 2022 and Marvel Studios had a release timeframe in mind. In November, Beats and Rob Dillon expressed interest in returning as their Deadpool 2 characters Domino and Peter Wisdom. Beats ultimately did not return for the film. Levy was revealed to be directing the film in March 2022 and said film will not begin until after 2022 due to his busy schedule through the remainder of the year. Reese and Wernick were hired to rewrite the screenplay and said they were excited to use MCU elements. They added that Disney and Marvel were supportive of Deadpool making meta jokes about the MCU because of their success of the previous Deadpool films. In June, Raymond Chan was revealed to be the production designer after working on the Marvel Studios miniseries The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. A month later, Feige said the film will be elevated from the first two in a similar way to other third installments of MCU film series, such as Captain America Civil War, Thor Ragnarok, and Avengers Infinity War. Levy and Reynolds worked on the script with Reese Wernick and Zeb Wells, who previously worked on the Marvel Studios miniseries She-Hulk Attorney at Law and Marvel Zombies, and the film The Marvels. They all came to feel that they did not have an original story that was not derivative of the other Deadpool films. Levy said they felt the film had to be deserving of being the first Deadpool film set within the MCU while still feeling grounded because this is an earthbound, gritty, realistic superhero franchise. Levy and Reynolds were prepared to justify that they could not move forward at the time because of the trouble they had landing on a story idea. Executive producer Wendy Jacobson said Marvel was also struggling to settle on a core idea for the story. In August 2022, Jackman reached out to Reynolds about wanting to be part of the film. Reynolds was preparing for a meeting with Feige to discuss how to proceed given their lack of story ideas, and realized that including Wolverine would solve many of the issues they were coming up against. Jackman had a change of heart after being content with his decision to retire as Wolverine for several years, and stated that team up with Reynolds could be so much fun. I'll probably have more fun on that movie than anything I've ever done. Feige advised Jackman not to return as he felt Wolverine's death in Logan was the greatest ending in history and did not want to undo that. He was convinced by that Jackman would portray a new version of Wolverine from an alternative universe within the multiverse. Jackman confirmed that he wanted to return after taking a long drive to think about it. In September 2022, Rand announced that Jackman would return as Wolverine for Deadpool 3, which was set for release on September 6, 2024. Alongside Feige and X-Men franchise producer Lawrence Schuler Donner, Reynolds and Levy were producing through their respective production companies Maximum Effort and 21 Labs Entertainment. Simon Kinberg was an executive producer after producing the previous Deadpool films. His in the film had been authored by Levy, Reynolds, and Feige, and they all cared deeply about Logan, Deadpool, and Wolverine. Reynolds and Jackman said they would avoid affecting the events of Logan through the multiverse story. Levy said preserving Logan's legacy was top priority for the creative team, and added that the legacies of Deadpool and Wolverine informed the story and themes. Jackman reached out to Logan director James Mangold to inform him of the story, said Mangold was both enthusiastic about the idea and relieved that Logan would not be impacted. Jackman said the film may not be titled Deadpool 3, with himself, Reynolds, and Levy referring to it at different times as the Deadpool/Wolverine film. Wolverine and Deadpool, Deadpool vs. Wolverine, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Deadpool 3 with Wolverine. The title Deadpool and Friend, which Reynolds claimed was the official title, leaked to land in February 2024. After a negative fan response, a different title was announced the next day, Deadpool and Wolverine. Despite being the third Deadpool film, Levy did not want to call it a Deadpool 3 because it is a two-hander character adventure that focuses on both characters. Reynolds said it was still a Deadpool film in terms of tone, violence, swearing, and meta mayhem. He also called it the most Deadpool movie in the history of Deadpool. And now on to pre-production. Pre-production work began by October 2022, less than 2 months after Jackman decided to join. Jacobson said this is one of the fastest turnarounds she had seen of her big production. The release was pushed back to November 8th, 2024 to accommodate other MCU film delays. In December, Levy said filming was set to begin in May 2023. Reynolds lobbied Marvel Studios to film in Vancouver, where he's from and the previous Deadpool films were made, but conceded that they have their established infrastructure and you just have to sort of fall in line. Filming was set to take place in London by February 2023. Patrick Stewart, who portrayed Charles Xavier / Professor X in the X-Men series and reprised the role in the MCU film Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, said in February that he had been approached about potentially making an appearance in the film, but Levy later denied that there were ever any plans for Stewart to appear. Also that month, Emma Corrin joined the cast in the lead villain role. Marvel had been considering Corrin since late 2022, after Levy saw them in stage production of Virginia Woolf's Orlando, but their scheduling conflicts had to be worked through before Corrin signed on. In March, the Time Variance Authority and other elements for the MCU television series Loki were rumored to be appearing. Matthew McFadden joined the cast in an undisclosed role, which was described as a third wheel to Deadpool Wolverine. Leading up to the start of filming, several cast members were confirmed to be reprising their roles from the previous Deadpool films. Corinne Sony as Dopinder, Leslie Uggams as Blind Al, Miranda Beckerman as Vanessa Carlyle, Svan Kapagiak, as the voice of Piotr Rasputin / Colossus, Rob Dillon as Peter Wisdom, Brian Hildebrand as Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Shirley Kutsan as Yukio. Levy said the film was one of the most fun creative experiences of his career, citing self-awareness, violence, and foul language. He did not want to alter the franchise's DNA and called the new film raw, audacious, and very much R-rated, comparing it to the buddy comedy films 48 Hours, Planes, Trains, Automobiles, and Midnight Run. Sony said it was taking full advantage of the MCU and would feature jokes about Feige. Levy said there was one line that Disney asked to be changed, which was revealed when a version of the script was published in anticipated award season. Quote, "Disney is so cheap, I can barely breathe with this Mickey Mouse cock in my throat," which was changed to, and excuse my language, fuck, now Disney gets cheap? Pinocchio jammed his face in my ass and started lying like crazy. Graham Church and Mace C. Rubio were the costume designers, both returning from previous MCU films. Jackman wears a yellow and blue costume similar to Wolverine's costume from X-Men the Animated Series in the comic books, specifically Astonishing X-Men Volume 3, drawn by John Cassaday. It also features elements of the character's 1970s design by John Romita Sr., Dave Cockrum, and the 1990s design by Jim Lee. Jackman did not wear a comics-accurate costume in the X-Men film series, though was referenced in X-Men and a deleted scene from the Wolverine. The film was therefore an opportunity to see Jackman in a comics-accurate costume for the first time, and Levy felt this would be the last chance for Jackman to wear such a costume. They went through several iterations and fittings to get the suit right. Jackman said putting on the suit looked so right and felt so right, and he questioned why he had not worn such a costume in his previous films. An early review of the costume was met with positive reactions online, and led to some commentators to determine that Jackson was portraying a different iteration of the character from the one he had portrayed in the X-Men films. Reynolds also had an updated costume from the previous Deadpool films, featuring a brighter shade of red and larger black circles on his mask. This is reminiscent of the character's comic book design from the 1990s. Levy was pleased with the overwhelming positive response to the suit designs. And now on to the filming. Principal photography began on May 22, 2023, taking place in London and at Pinewood Studios in Buckinghamshire, England, under the working title Tidal Wave. George Richterman served as the cinematographer after working with Levy and Reynolds on Free Guy, while George Caudle was the supervising stunt coordinator and second unit director. Levy worked at Marvel Studios and the producers of the Netflix series Stranger Things, on which he was executive producer, so his schedules will allow him to direct episodes of that series' final season, since filming for the two projects was expected to overlap. The production was not expected to be impacted by the 2023 Writers Guild of America strike that began in early May, aside from Reynolds being unable to contribute to the script during filming as he had done for the previous films. Marvel Studios was reportedly planning to shoot what they could during principal photography and make any necessary writing adjustments during already scheduled reshoots. Location filming was prioritized over sound stages where possible, because the filmmakers felt this gave the film a more grounded feeling. In mid-June, the release date was moved forward to May 3rd, 2024. Filming for a car crash took place in London in early July 2023. Reynolds Jackman filmed scenes in Norfolk soon after. Production was suspended on July 14th because of the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike. 35 days of filming were completed before the shutdown, with another 35 days left. Valkyrie completed all of her scenes prior to the strike. Filming was set to resume after the conclusion of the dual Hollywood strikes, and Disney paid to keep the sets intact during the hiatus. Olivia and Reynolds began work on the editing and visual effects, though they had not prioritized filming major visual effects sequences before the strike. Olivia compared one of the film's sequences to the lightsaber duel between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi, and asked the stunt team to look at that scene's blocking, tempo, and framing. Hondo was allowed to give input on the editing and direction. Another key action sequence is the one that Reynolds wanted to be said to Madonna's Like a Prayer, which had evolved to include Wolverine alongside Deadpool. Once Olivia met with the singer to ask for permission to use the song, which she gave along with the suggestion that it be combined with a gospel choir for the film. The film, along with others that were midway through production at the start of the strikes, was said to be a top priority for the studios to resume production following the conclusion of the SAG-AFTRA strike. In October 2023, Olivia questioned the film would make its May 2024 release date given the strike was still ongoing at the time. Shortly before reported that it was likely to be delayed even if filming resumed by the start of 2024. After the conclusion of the SAG-AFTRA strike on November 9th, filming was expected to resume in London within the following 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. Reynolds announced that the character Dogpool would appear, played by dog actor Peggy, and the release date was pushed back to July 26, 2024. Filming resumed by November 23rd. Lee said his time editing and reviewing footage during the strikes allowed him to gain a better understanding of the film he was able to return to work feeling focused and not rushed. Reynolds, Wrexham AFC co-chairman Rob McElhaney visited the set to film a cameo appearance as a TVA agent and discuss the football club. His visit was captured by the Welcome to Wrexham documentary series, though his scene was ultimately cut from the film. Within December, Bona Film Group signed a deal with TSG Entertainment to invest in a slate of films, including the Deadpool franchise. TSG Entertainment and 20th Century Studios both received in association with credits on the film. Principal photography, which also took place at Bovington Film Studios, wrapped on January 24th. One day of filming then took place in Los Angeles to film Jon Favreau's appearance as Happy Hogan, reprising his role from previous MCU films, and to film the opening dance sequence with choreographer Nick Pauli. A United States Copyright Office filing for the film indicated that some filming occurred in Vancouver as well. During filming, Jennifer Garner was reported to be appearing as Elektra Nachos after portraying a version of the character in the Fox-produced film Daredevil and a spin-off Elektra. Garner initially denied her involvement. Set photos revealed that other characters from previous Marvel films, including Sabretooth and Toad, would also be appearing, along with a large 20th Century Fox logo set piece. Writer reported that the film was taking a similar approach from prior Fox-produced Marvel films, such as the MCU film Spider-Man No Way Home, which features multiple characters from past Spider-Man films coming together. Levy acknowledged some of the casting rumors surrounding the film, including suggestions that Taylor Swift will be making a cameo appearance as Dazzler, but would not confirm which rumors were true. Swift does not appear, and Levy said that there were never any plans for her to appear. According to the characters that do appear, including Aaron Stanford, reprising his role as John Allardyce/Pyro from the films X2 and X-Men The Last Stand. Levy said they were added as the story developed and were not forced into film based on a wish list of cameos. Commenting on the set photo leaks, Reynolds said they created a difficult situation for the production, and he hoped websites would stop publishing unfinished, out-of-context leaked images. He noted that the franchise is associated with leaks since the first Deadpool film was only able to be made following a leak of its original test footage. Levy said the press and paparazzi on set was a price we're comfortable paying in exchange for filming on location. And finally, let's take a look at the post-production. The film's copyright filing in February 2024 confirmed Garner's role and revealed Curran to be playing Cassandra Nova, the twin sister of Charles Xavier. Whereas initially chose the comic book character Mephisto, whose introduction to the MCU had been the subject of fan speculation as the main antagonist. This changed when Jackman suggested using Cassandra due to Wolverine's relationship with Xavier. A series of trailers were released in the following months, revealing more character details. McFadden as TVA agent Mr. Paradox, Randall Reeder and Lewis Tam reprising their respective roles as Buck and Rusty slash Shatterstar from the previous Deadpool films. The turn of Stanford as Pyro and Tyler Mane as Sabretooth from the X-Men films, and the inclusion of the creature Alliance from Loki. Vinnie Jones and Jason Fleming were asked to reprise their respective X-Men film roles of Kane Marcos as Juggernaut and Azazel, but deals could not be agreed upon. Terry Crews had talks about training as Bedlam from Deadpool 2, but these did not go anywhere. Dean Zimmerman, a frequent collaborator with Levy, edited the film with Shane Reed. Levy said they were busy finishing it at the end of April 2024. Early screenings took place by then, with high-test scores given to both Deadpool and Wolverine as well as their chemistry. The ending originally immediately revealed that Deadpool and Wolverine had survived their ordeal, until Reynolds' wife Blake Lively suggested their fate be left unknown for a moment to add suspense. The updated scene, including Paradox's impassioned speech about the hero's seeming sacrifice, was filmed during a day and a half of reshoots. Lively said Lively's suggestion made the ending so much more satisfying. Lively and some of Farrah Reynolds' children had voice cameos as variants of Deadpool, which Lively attributed to them being available for a recording. The Eden Project co-star Rocco Scoble was originally set to voice the variant Kidpool, but during production his voice changed too much due to puberty and he was replaced by Reynolds' daughter Inez. With Scoble instead voicing an unseen Deadpool variant who yells, "Go back to Canada, asshole!" in a scene that was cut from the film. Reynolds originally provided the voice variant for Cowboy Pool before Matthew McConaughey agreed to voice the character. Jokes about the cast were cleared with them before inclusion, including a scripted joke about Garner's divorce with Ben Affleck and an improvised joke about Jackman's divorce. Post-production was completed on June 19th. Despite the multiverse story and connections to the projects, Levy did not expect audiences to do homework before watching the film and intended for it to be an entertaining experience on its own. When I said they did not want to just set up future projects, and Marvel never pressured them into doing so, only asking them to make one really satisfying self-contained story. In July, Favreau and Wunmi Mosaku were revealed to be reprising the MCU roles as Happy Hogan and TVA's Hunter B-15. First, planned to have Robert Downey Jr. reprise his MCU roles Tony Stark / Iron Man alongside Favreau, but he turned them down after reading the scene. Richard Rennick said this was the only time an actor turned down a role in the film. Also in July, a final trailer revealed that Daphne Keane was returning as Laura / X-23 from Logan. Before this, Keane had denied her involvement in the film while promoting the Star Wars series The Acolyte. Marvel chose to reveal her role in the trailer after Keane asked to attend the premiere. Keane enjoyed keeping her role a secret, taking inspiration from Andrew Garfield's denials about appearing as Peter Parker / Spider-Man in No Way Home before that film's release. A tribute to Fox's Marvel films is shown during the credits of Deadpool and Wolverine, celebrating and farewelling those films. Levy said key themes in the film were legacy and characters' endings, which led to a who's who of discarded Marvel characters being included. Garner as Elektra, Wesley Snipes as Eric Brooks / Blade from New Line Cinema's Blade film trilogy, Chris Evans as Johnny Storm / Human Torch from Fox's Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, and Channing Tatum as Remy LeBeau / Gambit, who was attached to stars in an unproduced Gambit film for Fox. The filmmakers felt Snipes did not get an appropriate ending as Blade. Snipes was surprised to be contacted, believing him not play the character again after Marvel cast Mahershala Ali as Blade for the MCU. He and Reynolds had not kept in contact since they starred together in Blade Trinity, and Snipes struggled with Reynolds' humor on that film. Snipes said he finally understood Reynolds' approach within the context of Deadpool and Wolverine, which made it an enjoyable experience. A new costume was designed because Marvel was legally unable to use the character's signature black leather coat from the New Line's films. It was quickly agreed to reprise his role due to Reynolds' involvement and humor. Evans portrayed Steve Rogers slash Captain America in the MCU from 2011 to 2019. His introduction in the films playing to this by leading the audience to believe that he was reprising his role as Rogers, revealing him to be Johnny instead. Evans' costume includes elements of his Captain America and Human Torch suits from previous films. For Evans' explicit film monologue in the post-credits scene, Royals offered to use cue cards, but Evans was excited to memorize the dialogue. Olivia was one of the directors Tatum approached for his unrealized Gambit film, and who would be deeply gratified for the actor to play Gambit in this film. Tatum was appreciative of efforts to include him after believing that he would never have the chance to portray the character. A scene was shot showing Tatum's Gambit surviving the events of the film. It could be seen on the TVA monitors in the background of the post-credits scene, and Royals released a version of it online as a tease for the character's potential return. Other characters of previous Marvel properties that were considered included Ben Affleck as Matt Murdock / Daredevil from Daredevil and Elektra, Nicolas Cage as Johnny Blaze / Ghost Rider for the Columbia Pictures films Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, and the main actors for the 2015 Fantastic Four film, Miles Teller's Reed Richards / Mr. Fantastic, Kate Mara Sue Storm / Invisible Woman, Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm / Human Torch, and Jimmy Bell as Ben Grimm / The Thing. It was said that the latter group would not have the same impact as an appearance by Evans. The writers also considered bringing back Brolin as Cable, but said against it because the film pays tribute to characters who did not get their proper ending at Fox, and Cable had only just been introduced in Deadpool 2. Ryan expected that Cable would go on to appear in future Marvel projects. Sven Gilbert was the visual effects supervisor, with effects provided by Industrial Light and Magic, Framestore, Base FX, Barnstorm VFX, Marinol VFX, Rising Pictures, and Weta FX. Framestore joined during pre-production to work on pre-visualization and went on to deliver 420 final shots. The company worked on the fight with an army of Deadpool variants, which is made to look like a single shot, including environment work and crowd duplication. The final confrontation with Cassandra in the Time Warper machine, using the same spaghettification effect Framestore developed for the second season of Loki, and shots of Dogpool, including giving Peggy digital goggles that created a googly eyes look. Island worked on 614 shots, primarily for scenes in the void. Because of the filming hiatus, some scenes were filmed in summer and others in winter. Visual effects were used to help create a consistent winter look. The set for Cassandra's arena was extended to be made from a giant Ant-Man corpse. For Johnny's death, in which Cassandra magically pulls off his skin and his body parts collapsed, Island looked at bodies to the exhibition as part of their research. The company added a comedic moment of Johnny blinking before he collapses, to make his death more cartoony. Framestore and ILM both worked on Cassandra's powers, which involved her hands moving through other characters' faces. Gilbert was inspired for this by comic book art. Corinne was filmed hiding their arms so it could be replaced with a digital arm that directs with a digital double of the other actor. Woodward returned for the first two Deadpool films to provide facial animation for Deadpool's mask, again using a 2D effect to morph the mask. Rails provided reference footage for this, and a new learning machine tool that was developed to suggest facial movements based on its dialogue. During production, Weta's work expanded to around 630 shots, including animation of Wolverine's mask, augmenting the environment of Wolverine's skeleton for the opening sequence. Shots of the TVA and the technology used the effects seen in Loki, and the environment work for other parts of the void. Blood and gore were added digitally. Method Studios, returning for their work on Deadpool 2's opening sequence, worked with the other vendors to plan Deadpool Wolverine's opening sequence and add the title cards. So overall, I really do enjoy this movie a lot, and I'm hoping that you could see Deadpool and Wolverine in future Marvel projects, like maybe Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars or something along those lines. But hey, who knows? So yeah. So overall, I give Deadpool and Wolverine. I give them. I give this movie. I forgot what I give the other. I forgot what I use for ranking the other films. Oh yeah, I give this movie 5 Captain America shields out of 5. Well, anyway, two more as we unfortunately take a look at the last film in this review series, which is going to be Captain America: Brave New World. So until then, in the words of the late great Stan Lee, Excelsior!